Jim Hart back at you here on the couch, and today I want to share with you three deadly sins that people make when thinking about their trademarks and how to protect their brand. Now real quick, I'm a trademark lawyer. I founded the Hart Law Firm. We help people, online entrepreneurs in general, protect their brand and yada, yada, yada. You know the deal. But today I want to talk to you about how to make sure that you are properly protecting your brand. This is especially if you're an entrepreneur who is trying to build something, I can't think of a better word than brand. You're trying to build a brand. That's what you want to do. So this video is for you, and you don't know how to protect that brand. I talked to somebody yesterday who has an amazing idea for a business that she's trying to build, and she's worried, number one, if she starts selling under that brand name, that somebody's going to steal her idea, which may be somewhat paranoid. Maybe she's a little paranoid, but not really, because I see that happen all the time. And then on the flip side, she's also worried that maybe there's somebody else out there in the marketplace that might actually already have the name that she wants to use for her business. And so she might be infringing on somebody else. And that's the two sides to the trademark coin, if you will, because that's basically the way it works. I mean, if you don't do this the right way, and we're going to get into the three big mistakes I see people make here in just a sec, but if you don't do this the right way, you're either potentially infringing on somebody else, or you run the risk that somebody's going to steal from you. That's basically the way it works. And if you do this incorrectly, then the big problems that you may have are you might be forced to do an expensive rebrand at some point in the future. You could be forced out of business or even into bankruptcy. That would be kind of worst case scenario, but definitely could happen, especially if you've invested a lot of money and time and effort and product into a brand and maybe mortgage your house on it. I don't recommend doing that, by the way. But yes, those are all things that can happen. Not to mention, you may never just reach the goals that you have set for yourself. You may be thinking that you want to accomplish certain things with your brand, but those things are not going to be possible if you don't properly register your intellectual property. Yeah, it's kind of a downer. I'm sorry about that. Luckily, today you've got me, a trademark lawyer, to help you kind of sort through this and sort through some of the big mistakes I see people make. Haircut time. I need to get a haircut. Okay, and I made my notes here on my little handy dandy iPad, in case you're wondering. I do not script these videos. In case you're wondering, I do not script the videos. I do make bullet points, and I try to go through the bullet points. But let's see. So what is mistake? Oh, I got some in my eye. I'm wearing contacts. I do not like wearing contacts. Mistake number one is to pick a name that you actually cannot protect. And so I've talked about this before in other videos. There's a whole spectrum of names that are analyzed by the trademark office. You've got from the creative, fanciful names at one end to the generic, completely untrademarkable names at the other end, and everything in between. You've got suggestive names, you've got descriptive names, you've got arbitrary names. And so there's all sorts of names in between, and you need to make sure you pick the right name, because if you pick a name that's not actually capable of trademark registration, then you're just wasting your money, and nobody wants you to do that. Nobody wants that. Mistake number two is picking a name without conducting a search. This is one of the things that I see people do time and time again. They start using a name, they don't do a search, they build a business, things are going well, and then one of these days they get a cease and desist letter from another brand who's using that same name, and they see that this person is now successful, because they don't do it when you're just starting out, because nobody knows who you are when you're just starting out. But as your business grows and you gain some notoriety, then the other brand that has the same name comes in and tries to shut you down with a cease and desist letter. And so if you are building a brand and you have not done a search and you haven't filed for trademark protection for your name, you're really kind of playing with fire on some level, because you never know when or if that letter is going to come. And there's a chance it may never come, good for you, but aren't you gonna sleep better at night knowing that you've eliminated all possibility that it will come, because you've done a search on the front end and then done mistake number three, which is people who don't file that trademark application. And so you need to make sure you actually file that trademark application. So mistakes 2 and 3 kind of go hand in hand. Number 2 is not doing the search, but then number 3 is I see people, they do the search and then they just don't do anything with it. They're like, oh, okay, great, yeah, I can use the name. Cool, we're good to go. The problem is that if that search is really just a snapshot in time of what's available in the marketplace right now. And it's like saying, you know, I think I want to look how my investments are doing, and you look at them in, you know, February of 2022, and you're like, oh, they're going great. I think maybe I'll sell my house now. That's a good example. So it'd be like saying, you know, I want to sell my house and the market's doing really well, and you look at a snapshot in March of 2022 and say, oh, this is great, sales are huge, I want to sell my house, but then you don't pull the trigger and actually sell your house, and then what happens? Bad stuff happens. If you're going to register the trademark, if you're going to do the search, if you're going to take the time to do the search, you need to make sure you go ahead and file the trademark application, because without filing the trademark application, the search is really worthless. In a week from now, or 3 months from now, or a year from now, whatever you found in that search today is going to be different. I tell the story of somebody I was working with this summer who wanted to trademark a certain brand, and they had a great name, and they went to the trademark office and looked to see if anyone else was using that name, and 1 week before, literally 1 week, somebody had filed for trademark protection for the exact same name. So it's really important that you not make that third mistake, which is not filing at all. And if you're confused about what that looks like and you just aren't sure where to start, I've got all sorts of videos on the channel. I'll link up to one right here that you can check out about how to properly file your trademark application. That's all I got for you today. Think about how much better you're gonna sleep at night knowing that your trademarks are protected. Have a great day. See you next time. Choo.